Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision on a daily basis. Got a great show for you today, talking about marijuana investing. If you've been watching the names in this space in the past couple of days, 10% plus every day. Today's no different. They're already up pre-market, some up more than 20% if you get into the individual names. So we're going to talk about MJ, the index fund. We're going to talk about some of the big players in the space, Aurora Cannabis, Canopy Growth. We're talking about even a speculative small player in the space called MedMen, which is the retail stores. And then we'll talk about some of the index options as well. We're also going to talk about some after hours trading. Some folks have had some challenges with that lately. So we're going to talk about specifics and why not, that sort of thing. So that's what we have for our show today. Thanks for catching us on replay. Again, what you don't see is the chat and the Q&A window, but make sure you click the notifications bell to be able to get notified when I go live with the replay every day. And also, if you want to join us live, it's $25 a month to invest in yourself. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. Here is our score brief for the day. Here, make sure you have your Q&A window set up and your chat window set up with all attendees selected. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear in this presentation. So welcome to Wednesday, February 10th, halfway through the week. We're looking to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically today, our tactical objective is to talk about marijuana investing. And specifically, is it too late, right? We've talked about the MJ, the index fund, which I prefer as far as the way to invest in it. It was below 20. I checked my price point this morning. It's in the 18s for when I loaded up. And then now it's at 32 something today and going higher, may even be higher than that. 33 and 33.45 and climbing. Have you missed it after a 60% move in a week or two? I think there's ways to play it. So we're going to get into the individual names, which you see there a little bit lower. Tilray's obviously, that's probably your Robinhood Merriman fave, if you will, because it's got a cool name. The others, Canopy Growth, Aurora Cannabis, MedMen, we'll talk about all of those as well as the index funds as well. So yes, I think you have missed it largely, but there's a way to participate still, and we'll talk specifically to that. We're also going to talk about how to trade after hours. That's not something that's done very often for most of you. I will do some of it, especially if I need to get somebody in and out of a position. Trade after hours. There's ways to do it, and there's some downsides to it as well. We are not playing with amateurs like you are during the open market hours. It's only professionals that are doing the after hours trading, so you have to know what you're doing. All right, our flow for today: long, short, open, short, long. We're going to do a market review. We'll take a look at where we've been. Come back to the U.S., look at the headline review. There's the 6 names we're going to look at on Schwab Street Smart Edge. We'll get into short-term execution. If you look in the chat, I just had somebody join here, so let me add those again. 5 long names that you're looking at, including an airline, cough, cough. How to lose the most money, invest in airlines. But as far as a short-term trade, Mesa's looking, they partnered with United, looking to go higher, and then Under Armour, Twitter, Uber, Canon, all those things looking good. Have one short for you as well that we'll take a look at. We'll execute the market open. Had a great trade yesterday, looking for another one today, and then we'll get to your questions and answers. Contingencies and academic resources are standard. All right, let's take a look at TD Ameritrade, and we'll zoom out to keeping the big picture in mind. Even though yesterday was in the red slightly for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, the Nasdaq was in the green. So really continuing our market tear higher, if you will. That's tear, TEAR, not TERROR. But again, going higher, there's bubble talk every day, blah, blah, blah. Believe what you want. I will say that, with $4 million in cash on the sidelines, about to have another stimulus bill passed, there's going to be a huge infrastructure bill behind that. So money's like water. It's flowing into the economy, and it's flowing right back into the market, in my opinion. I will say that Elon Musk took a little bit of heat on CNBC this morning. If you heard that, you heard Tesla's just bought 100 or 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And the issue is they're saying, well, our government bailouts going out to companies that are now turning around and investing in things like Bitcoin? Does that even make sense? I think that's more of a headline than actually what's going on. I think companies are adjusting to the future. You'll see here in a minute the big ad across CNBC this morning is Bitcoin is the future. So we'll chuckle about that here in a second. But really, you've got money flowing into the market. There's no reason to think the market's not going to continue higher until we talk taxes. When we talk taxes, then there's going to be an adjustment. But remember, if the market look how can't talk. Look how high the market has powered. This is from 275 back in May up to 390 now. So do your quick math. I won't, but maybe 35%. I don't know. Even if the market comes in 10%, you're not talking something specific. I have a couple calls lined up today. People are wanting to go to the sidelines here. And it's just like, well, are you trying to go to the sidelines to dodge a 10% drop? But are you going to miss out on another 30% to the upside while you're dodging the 10% drop? So we'll see. But even if we went down 2-3% today, literally it's noise compared to where we've been. So it's always good to keep the big picture in mind. Here's the 5-day chart of the SPY. Yeah, pretty much straight up and trending up on into today. All right, as far as here's the MJ chart. Again, it's parabolic, if you will, from where it's been. There's the 5-day chart in marijuana. It was down down below 20 2 weeks ago, up into the mid 20s, now above 34. So that's what we'll take a look at today. All right, let's go to CNBC and take a look at the headlines. And as I promised you, Bitcoin is the future. It says so right here in an advertisement. So clearly that can't be wrong. But I joke, but yeah, it's relevant. I mean, Elon Musk walking about Bitcoin does a tremendous amount more for Bitcoin than it does Bitcoin Nation on Twitter and Reddit, and all the crypto girl and all of the fun, cool call signs that are out there. But yeah, you have richest guy in the world going, yeah, it's inevitable. That's pretty big boost. So we'll talk more about that when we get to it. All right, here's the futures. You can see up 0.5% across the board. All right, in Europe, down a little bit there, but other than that, looking good. Asia across the board, up a couple percent in China and Hong Kong. Those are good numbers. Here's our numbers from yesterday. As promised, NASDAQ, again, continues its mini rally, if you will. Really felt flat day, which is fine. Remember, we used to have those in the market. Seemingly since COVID, everything has been up or down 1% almost. Bonds have been selling off a little bit. This was closer to 1.2%. Nothing to really worry about. Oil, again, stable in that 55 to 60 range. Gold and silver have been getting love lately, so again, continuing back up. And then, of course, crypto. Sure, Bitcoin's down 3%. Who cares? It went up, 12% yesterday. So sitting there at 45,000 and change, almost 46. Again, I think it's a straight line up to 100, probably in the next year. I mean, that's really everything's pointed to that. And I've not been a big fanboy of Bitcoin. So for me to say that means I've looked at the math and looked at how, if other companies, I put this out yesterday, if Apple would decide to put some Bitcoin on its balance sheet, I don't see that happening. But it certainly is a heck of a rumor. And if that's the case, yeah, we see 6 figures in Bitcoin here pretty quick. So if that's how companies are going to use it, then, good on them. All right, back to the US. We'll get rid of that big ad telling us how awesome Bitcoin is and look into what everybody's actually talking about. Did not see this earlier. A chip shortage could cut their earnings. Not that you should really be invested in car makers anyway, except for the EV folks, which I know GM supposedly trying to be a leader with their um, collaboration with Nikola, but I don't buy it. All right, Coke beat estimates. Under Armour, that's one of the longs today. If you look here, let me refresh the longs. Some names are popping in. Good morning, everybody. So again, it's our second long. We have Mesa first, which is an airline, then Under Armour. They did beat earnings, and it really does look like Under Armour is back. Now, if you've been with me for a long time, I was a huge fan of Under Armour. Back under the Kevin Plank days, it ran up significantly. We made a ton of money, and then it just got tainted, right? They did the share split to UA and UUA or UA. No, I'm sorry, it's UA and UAA. And it was a greedy move by the CEO, and it was not, and basically the stock died after that. Well, I think Under Armour could be back. When you look at their retail brand, the brand is still strong, even though the stock has been crushed. So anyhow, we'll look at it long today. It's up 8% pre-market. Virgin Galactic got a big downgrade. It's been on fire lately, so expect that to sell off. Twitter, let's see. Twitter was an earnings story this morning. They're up 7%. Obviously, they're looking to monetize their platform. Of interest, I'm working a private placement deal about an app that allows you to buy directly from social media. The dude that was on, it's not, I don't know what his job title was from Twitter, but literally 20 minutes ago, he is specifically talking about the number one thing that they're looking for in Twitter is how to monetize and buy right from Twitter. That's exactly what this private placement is that I'm in on, is to do just that. So the answer is there. It's just, it's got to marry up. And if Twitter buys this thing, good news is all I can say about that. So anyhow, that's Twitter this morning. What else is here? Less political content in Facebook. That'd be a good news. Coke up, Under Armour up, Twitter up. Yep. Let's see. Predator. For some reason, your real name's showing up there, Predator, in the chat. That's weird. I've not seen that before. Anyhow, you can look at that if you want. GM in the late 90s when it produced EV1. They probably should have kept working on that. Yes, you very insightful. Oh, you're in there twice. That's what it is, Predator. I see you now. Okay. All right. Mortgage demand drops. If you haven't refied by now, you probably have missed the window. All right, ARK Invest. If you haven't heard of these, I don't use these funds, but they have been on fire. They're the ARKK, ARKW, those sorts of things. But I do agree with their assessment here. I'm blanking on her name. I think it's Karen Wood maybe runs these funds, but everything she says kind of comes true. So I've started to listen significantly. The best Tesla's Bitcoin purchase will lead to more corporations buying, driving the price higher. I mean, it's kind of like duh, but yeah, that's huge. If all the big companies out there start putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, wow. All right, 1,400 stimulus checks. I think it will go through that the income limits will be the same as last time. So I don't expect a change there. There's the downgrade in Virgin Galactic we talked about. Baidu's up this morning. Again, Chinese name there that I like. Twitter did say, if you didn't catch that this morning, that once you get banned from Twitter, you're not coming back. So even if Trump would run in 2024, they're already saying that he's not going to be allowed back on Twitter. I don't know about that. I'm not sure they could survive the pushback on that. Tilray's a name we talked about in the pot space, 40%. I mean, the crazy moves in marijuana have been big. So let's go ahead and switch to talking about that. So first of all, my favorite, and this is the one I talk about all the time, is the index fund, MJ, easy to remember, right? Here's the move that it's made. So you're looking back here, it's around 10 back in October. Ridiculous. Then it's like, hey, Biden's going to win this thing. So go into the election, and then it kind of popped up right after the election, sold off again. And then now that we're into the blue wave, and people are really catching on to the fact that if we decriminalize this, legalize this, and tax this, it could be a huge moneymaker for the United States. Ethical positions aside on what just say no to drugs and all of that, put all of that aside, is it a moneymaker? Yes, it's a moneymaker. So that's why you're seeing it up here, 29 at the close yesterday. It's at 35. So really we're up here if this were a real-time chart, right? So kind of crazy. So can you buy in here? If you don't have any and you have to, then yes. But if you already have some, you're fine. There will be, when things move up like this, there's generally a sell-off like this. So look at this example. So think of all the folks out there when they watched it go from 11 to 15 and like, I'm missing out, I need to get in, and then you have this big sell-off. So I would wait till the sell-off. If you really want to see something crazy, look at Tilray, and this one you definitely have to wait on, right? Look at these numbers of past 6 months, 400%. I'm at the bottom right here. Year to date, 412. You can't buy into that. You have to go, I missed it. Steve missed it. Doesn't matter. You don't buy into stuff that's there, right? Because then you're going to be bag holding later on when this thing comes in. And if it goes to 5,000, well, then you missed it. You find something else. There's no called strikes in investing. So sell your Philip Morris and buy some MJ. Yeah. Go back like 5 years and sell your Philip Morris, right? It used to be one of the best companies out there, Altria, Mo, Philip Morris, all that stuff. But yeah, cigarettes are kind of dead, they're really dead. All right, let's go over to Street Smart Edge real quick, and we'll look at some of the other names that are out there. So we have MJ, we already talked about, and Tilray. Those are the upper two, left and right. Middle left, you have Canopy Growth. And middle right, you have Aurora Cannabis. These are Canadian firms. They are huge. They're largely conglomerates. They've been around for a long time. They're buying the smaller players out, and you can see the move that they've had up. So just from the chart, you would want to hop in over at Aurora Cannabis, which was down at $3, 2 months ago? Well, it's 3.5 months ago. So again, been kind of left for dead. It's on its way back. I would much rather enter something here than I would on any of these other ballistic charts, right? So if you have to have something because you don't have any, you want exposure to it, ACB is not a bad way to go. If you are in the little smaller penny stock game and you are interested in something that I think has a lot of upside, is MedMint. So that's a retail store. You go in and you buy your marijuana just like you're going to the Apple store. You have young 20s and 30s folks, your old folks that are well dressed and very knowledgeable with iPads, and they're walking you through the project and pointing you in the right direction. So they've got 2 stores in Vegas. I've been to both just to check them out, and yeah, very impressive. But the stock has been pretty much left for dead. So the margin is the issue on marijuana. So unlike alcohol, where it commands a super high margin, issue marijuana is not quite as high a margin. So problematic there a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and get set up. We have got about a minute to the market open. Let's come over to TD Ameritrade, and we'll talk about our longs for the day. So again, we're going to go Mesa first. That's an airline partnering with, I hate airlines, you know that. They're money losers over the long run, but a nice move on the trade here potentially. There's your earnings in partnership with United. The next one we're going to have is Under Armour, simply UA, on the way up. And then our short for the day is Akamai, or Akame, I don't know how it's pronounced, Technologies. That's they're falling off because of a restructure that they have. So that's the news story there. Give me a second and we will go into the market open. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. We have 4 charts in front of you. We have the S&P 500 over here on a 1-minute chart. Then we have the, check something real quick on another screen. Yep, make sure. Okay. Then we have, there's the opening bell. Sorry for that. So start over. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. We just had the opening bell. We've got the SPY on the left on a 1-minute chart and the futures in the green. We've got 2 longs. We have Mesa Airlines up and Under Armour up, both on earnings and some announcements. And the short that I like the best is Akamai, or Akame, I don't know how you pronounce it, but they've announced a major restructuring where they're splitting off businesses and things, and the stock's obviously down 10%. What we would need for this and for it to be able to short it is we need it to back up into the 108 range or higher before we find this attractive. So we need some short covering here to get up back into this congestion area, and then we would be able to mark our entry point and then go down and then follow it down from there. So if you're getting ready to short this, again, we need it to come up here into this range. Then we're looking for a dollar stop as well. So it looks like we're going to get it maybe up into this range. All right, we are. So we'll see where it sets the high of the day. We're in minute 2 of the day. I still want this thing to go higher instead of taking it down here. Ideally, we'd get it up above 108 and we'd take it short at 108 on the way down with a dollar stop. That's what I'm waiting for. I don't know that we're going to get it. All right, so we just have to be patient. If it stripes down from there, we have to say we missed it. All right, Under Armour's kind of chugging higher here, not significantly. And then Mesa, see what kind of volume, not a whole lot of volume in this Mesa airline. So with 16%, that move's probably been made. So we're still keeping an eye on the short over on the right panel. Let's take a look at some other things. Twitter, we'd be looking at long here. Kind of the move's already been made up there from 65 to 67. Market striping down here in minute 3, you can see. Looks like we're going to have to say we missed it. We did not get the entry. Again, if you're going to enter this and to get to a 3R point, you're going to have to enter up in the 108. So we'll see if it backs up. If it doesn't, then we move on. All right, Uber was another name, so there's no way to play the Twitter move here. Uber, Lyft was the one that had earnings, so Uber is a sympathetic. I do kind of like the entry point here. So 50 cents. It's just not strong enough to be able to get. So even if we did 50 cents and a 62.5 entry, that means I have to go up to 64 to get to the 3R point. I don't see that necessarily happening. All right, so I don't like the entry on Uber. And then CAN, which is Canon, which I don't know what they do. In my notes, they are up on a news story, not really following through, so not much there. All right, so don't have anything for the longs. Let's take a look at a couple of real popular names. Luckin Coffee, see if that's long. Yep. If you were dying to trade, you can hop in Luckin long here. You have to give yourself a big stop though. So I would go, if you were to hop in here, you could go a 20-cent stop. So say you even entered at 8:30. So I'll draw it real quick since we've got a second. Even if you entered at 8:30, go down here to 8:10 as your stop. You're taking this long on a multi-day play. Again, I'm not calling this for my own money, but I'm heavily invested in this thing long anyway, so don't need to add more of it. So anyhow, that's how you would set that up, and then you would set your upper trigger for 890, which you're probably not going to get 890 today, but have the stop in, because this stock, when you see it move, it does kind of spike. So this was what, 2 days ago. You can see how I have a big move and then it'll sell off. You saw here on the day prior. So that would be, let's see, Wednesdays. So this is Monday. Friday, you saw the same thing. You saw a what, $6 to $8. It's a $2.50 move. So you can set your stop in Luckin, and hopefully, go about your business, go about your day, and you wake up or you check back later, or you get the alert or whatever, and you are, and you've made money in the trade. So you could take it here, adjust everything a little bit lower. And again, I would give yourself a full 20 cents on the stop. Normally with an $8 stock, you would have a 10-cent stop. I would go 20 cents just because of how much this thing's moving. All right, back over here to Akami. That's already sold off. So again, our only real shot was, I said I wanted it up in the 8s. It lasted like a split second up there. But if we would have grabbed it at 108 with $1, we would need 105. Looks like it might eventually hit the 105. So anyhow, would have been a super aggressive trade. Not all that into it though. All right, and the market's selling off a little bit. So let's see what's going on in the rest of the world. EPWCF, Empower Therapeutics. I think I have to I'm pulling the actual company name since it's up 45%. It's not the European Center for Weather Forecasts. I'm talking the ticker. Come on. Ticker. It's Empower something. Empower Clinics. Okay, so this is a psychedelic name / marijuana name that is on fire. You see MJ up 17%. Let's pull that MJ chart while we're talking, just because it's fun to look at when you're invested in something like that. All right. Twitter up 14%. We talked about that. YCBD is another pot name out there. DraftKings, that is an option that you're seeing there. That's why it's coded differently. A couple of cool software names: Twilio, MongoDB up. MMEDF, people think this is MedMen. It's not. It's Mind Medicine. So it's a psychedelic play. So again, if you're looking for a derivative, if you missed marijuana and you want to hop in with the psychedelics, which I don't think there's a clear path to legalization in the psychedelics as there is with marijuana. But if you believe that, then some names out there you can get in are Revive Therapeutics, Mind Medicine. And again, like we talked about yesterday, just briefly, the idea is here, you can take somebody in rehab for either severe depression, bipolar, PTSD, and use some form of psychedelics to be able to help them, help their brain process the problem and go forward in a better state. So obviously there's a lot to unpack in that thesis, but it's not a bad thesis. Laser, obviously light detection and ranging stuff. I talked about the ARC funds. So ARC K, ARC W, ARC G, those are, I inherited these and these are on fire. The Kathy Wood in charge of that generally doesn't miss with what she's saying. So somebody to listen to on Twitter, which is what I do. All right, leading the negative board, REAXF. Again, it's kind of a new name, so it's a smaller price point, so it can jump around. We'll just continue to monitor that. Bitcoin down 5%, no big deal. Palantir selling off a little bit and Tesla off a little bit, not too worried. When you look at this, though, out of everything we own, there's only, 20 names in the red. So really not a big deal as far as things moving to the downside. All right. Let's go over to our question of the day is what is after hours trading, or how to after hours trade. So back to Google, here we go. All right, so the market is one of the best things, and they tell you this when you enter the industry, is the market's open for a 6.5 hour day. So like any profession out there, you can get consumed by your profession, right? You could end up working 16, 18 hours a day, especially during your either younger or early years in a profession, right? It allows the workaholic to be a workaholic. Well, with the stock market, when they say one of the best parts about it is with the main trading only open 6.5 hours a day, it allows you to not devolve into a junkie. It allows you to remain a professional. So therefore you can get up an hour, hour and a half prior to the market opening. I use an hour and a half myself. You do all your research, you wait for the market open. You generally make most of your moves in the first hour of the market open. So I do my morning show, obviously. And then as soon as I'm off air, I already have my list of things I need to, you can't see that, but my chicken scratch of trades I need to make. Oh, well, not showing up. But yeah, I go into and I adjust the portfolios real quick, and then it's really by exception the rest of the day. So it's nice that it's defined, and of course, all the volume, it happens during the open hours market, which again is from 9:30 Eastern to 4 Eastern every day. I'm Central, so back it up by an hour. But after hours trading is a little bit different. You don't see the same volume, of course, unless there's an earnings call. Last night for Twitter, there was earnings, and then all of a sudden you have all this volume. That might have been this morning, but after hours you have all this volume associated with people listening to the call that normally isn't there. So let's see what they have. To do this, you have to, whether you're TD Ameritrade, Schwab, Robinhood, whatever, you can go in and you have to, when you put your order in, say you want to buy Twitter. So buy 5 shares Twitter. You cannot use a market order because first of all, you get killed. So that's saving you from yourself. The bid-ask spread, if you don't know what that is, topic for another day. But anyhow, you get killed by the spread, and so you don't just throw a market order in. So you have to put a limit order in, and then Normally, if you just hit enter without going over to the next selection that says, during market hours, what'll happen, and sometimes you don't even get a warning, you just click enter and you think your order's in. Well, it's not. It's in, it's awaiting for the market to actually open. So it'll execute the following morning or later that morning if you're pre-market. So you really have to go to check to make sure you did that right. For after hours trading, like for Schwab or TD Ameritrade, it'll say external AM or external PM, where you put a specific order in, and then at a few minutes prior, that order becomes wiped out, and then you get ready for the market open. So if you do put a pre-market order in, you have to monitor it, and you may not get filled. So realize if you're trying to load up on a day trade or something early on, that if you put in for 1,000 shares, you may not get it. You may only get 400. So when the market opens, you have to, if you're trading it, you have to have your screens out and open and see how much you actually have of the stuff. So therefore, you know how much to add or subtract, or how to play it, because that affects your risk unit, all that stuff. So more volatile and risky. Let's see what else they say. There's a video if you want it. Some things do not trade after hours. Luckin Coffee, I see a couple of trades every day, and I don't know how that works after hours, but for the most part, you can't trade it after hours. Obviously, you can, because a few shares are trading hands, but for the most part, the answer is no. So here's your hours. Let's talk about the pre-market. So 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. I had to look this up yesterday for a client that was trying to trade pre-market. Well, Schwab pre-market is not the full time. So they only support, I think, a 7 o'clock Eastern, so 6 o'clock local here in Central. So you do have to wait. So if you get up like super early because you are ready to go and do a trade because of something that happened at midnight, then you may not be able to. And I don't know TD Ameritrade's hours, but just because you want to trade and the market's open doesn't mean you can. Your custodian has to be open. There's your regular hours, and of course you have 4 hours afterwards. I think all of the after hours window is open, I think, as far as at least with Schwab. Pricing difference, again, it's going to be the bid-ask spread. Things that trade during the day generally have a penny bid-ask spread. So, $8.43, $8.44 if they touch. Obviously, the trade executes, that sort of thing. After hours, it is not uncommon for something to have a dollar spread. So you can, somebody's willing to sell it for $8, and the next person's ready to buy it for $7, right? There's nobody in between there, so it's a dollar spread. Okay. Everything else as far as buying and selling, cost basis, taxation, IRAs, all of that you can do. So nothing changes except for actually how you enter that ticker. So how do I actually use it? Again, if I'm trying to capture something specifically off a news cycle, I may hop in. If I'm taking a trade that I believe in, like I'm literally salivating because I can't wait for this trade, the fraud trade, the fired the CEO, the CEO went to jail last night, those sorts of stories I will get in pre-market because I want to beat the masses. But for the most part, I stay clear of these as a professional investor / trader. I don't need it. You don't need the pre-market. So all right, that's a little bit on. And post-market is generally if I miss the close and I need to free up like some money for something else, I will go in and trade something aftermarket, generally just to free up some money. So, all right, that's what I've got for today's show. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for a couple of the comments there in the chat. And with that, we will catch you guys tomorrow. You have a good one.